Hello and welcome to this very brief tutorial on how to draft a basic sleeve. And also, I told us in our last video that we're going to be having a series of videos that will connect to the joining of our basic bodice pattern. I don't know if anybody saw the drafting of our basic bodice pattern, you will notice that I did not sew it, and that's because I wanted to run this first before we take it. So we are doing a series on beginner course. So we're taking a beginner class, and this is like our module 4. We're still on module 4, and I'm taking us through the basics before we enter intermediate lessons. All right, so let's start with this. And our paid beginner community is already live. I hope you are listening to what I'm saying. It is already live for this week. It is going to be open. It is less than $5 for you to access the community. Just click the link in the just click the link in the description of this video or in the comments, and you'll be able to access that community. We are opening it up for just 1 week, and after that it will be closed. So let's get right into this video. We're going to be drafting a basic sleeve, and what are the measurements that you're going to be needing? So you're going to be needing your sleeve length, and your sleeve length is divided into three. And then you're going to be needing your sleeve circumference, all right, which is also divided into three. Then you need one basic measurement, which is our cap length, and that one is constant. It's constant. So let's start from the top. Your sleeve length. You measure your sleeve length now on three places. Measure your sleeve length on your biceps, okay, on your biceps, on your elbow, and on your wrist. So I have a very comprehensive measurement video, which is in module 2. I'll suggest that you will go back there and check out the measurement video. Um, so because in case I'm not able to do a measurement guide all over again, I suggest that you go back there. You can even start from the basic bodice pattern, go to the basic necklines. We have the basic shorts video, so you can start practicing. The goal is for you to practice. And also your sleeve circumference, that is, look at my arm here. You need to take your measurements round. So your circumference means, obviously, as the name implies, means taking it round. Okay, means taking it round. And the difference now is that on your wrist, you don't make it fitted like this. That's why I want to show you this. On your wrist, you don't make it fitted like this. If not, it will not be able to pass through your sleeve. So you have to do something that can pass, especially if you want to make it a fitted sleeve. It doesn't have to be too loose, but if you're making a fitted sleeve, it has to be fitted enough to be able to pass and to be able to be fine, for it to be fine. So mine is 9 inches, and then on my elbow, this is my elbow, okay? So you have to turn your elbow like this before you take your measurement. Make sure that your tape goes round. Mine is 11 inches, and then my biceps. So this is my biceps. It's slimmy. So this is my biceps. So now, when you're taking the sleeve length measurement, it's the same thing. Your biceps, round about your biceps, round about your elbow, and round about your wrist. All right. So when you're taking the sleeve length, you measure from your shoulder slope. You take your measurement from your shoulder slope all the way down. So you ask the person to make their hand straight down, and you measure from your shoulder slope. I believe we've all understood what shoulder slope is. I've been showing us from our shoulder slope. So what is our cap length? Now our cap length is the same for everybody. Our cap length is 5 inches from um shoulder, from top. Let's say shoulder slash top. Okay. So now the deeper, let's talk about cap length a little. The deeper your cap length is, okay, the more fitted your sleeve is. All right. And the deeper your cap length is, the more it reduces fine lines in your armhole. Now the shorter your cap length is, let's say your cap length becomes 3, the more you're able to raise your arms up, right? The more you're able to raise your arms up, but the longer your cap length, it restricts you raising your hand, like the free movement of your hand a little. But the longer cap length is usually finer to look at because it makes it reduces the fine lines on your sleeve. So the first things that we're going to measure is all of these lines. My bicep length, my bicep length is 10 inches. All right. My own elbow length is 14 inches, and from my so this is from your shoulder slope. Okay, so all these measurements will be taken from your shoulder slope. So it will be vertical. So from my shoulder slope to my biceps is 10 inches. From my shoulder slope to my elbow is 14 inches. From my shoulder slope to my wrist is 25 inches. Okay, so you take your own measurement and take your own measurement and let us know. So my bicep circumference, what do we even measure? So it was 11 inches. My elbow, it was the same thing, just can be less or more. And my wrist is 9 inches. So we're going to take the vertical measurement first. For me, my first vertical measurement is the is this our cap length. Our cap length is 5 inches. So we measure 5 inches, okay. And then from this shoulder, this is our top, this is our shoulder slope. From this shoulder slope, we measure our biceps, which is 10 inches, right? And from this shoulder slope now downwards, we measure our elbow, which is 14 inches, okay. And from the shoulder slope and from the shoulder support way to your wrist. My paper is not enough, so 24.5 can still work for me. Alright. So I'll draw the same thing here so I can do a straight line. My cap length, okay, my biceps, alright, my elbow, and then the under of my fabric. The rest, let's roll straight lines across. Marker. Cap length, okay. And this is what biceps, okay. And this is what elbow. This is what wrist or full sleeve. So now all we just need to do is we're going to be taking our measurements divided by 2, right? All our measurements will be divided by 2. All our circumference measurements will be divided by 2. All right. So what is 11 divided by 2? It's 5.5. Then we're going to be adding allowance. Remember what I said about sewing allowance or seam allowance? We're going to be adding. So for the measurement of your biceps, that's what you're going to be using on your cap length. Okay. So I'm going to be adding 2-inch seam allowance. So this is 5.5. Let's measure from the center. This is on fold. Okay. That's why it's divided by 2. This is 5.5. Mark 5.5. And then you're going to add 2-inch seam allowance. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing here. Right, 5.5 at 2-inch seam allowance. Since it's the same measurement, we do the same thing. Okay, 5.5, then you add 2-inch seam allowance. But for the wrist, okay, the wrist is 9 inches divided by 2. The wrist is 9 inches divided by 2, which will be 4.5. Then you add your 2-inch seam allowance. So we'll connect all these lines. We're going to connect all these lines. But I'm going to make sure that I slant it all the way here. So all this half-inch here and quarter-inch here would where it will be inside our allowance that we take it. So let's make a straight line. Okay, this is the straight line that I've taken here. Let me turn this now so it will face me. Now for the curved top, I know that some of us watching this video, you have seen what the sleeve looks like before now. So to create this curved top, what we just need to do, we want to form like an S shape, okay, but a weird looking S shape. So what I usually do is at this top from the center, all right, this is a center fold. Let's use our marker. This is a center fold, okay, and so when you're cutting this on your fabric, it's going to be cut on fold. So from the center, I usually mark 3 inches from the center, okay, 3 inches from the center, and then my goal is to connect this point. Let's mark the midpoint here too, so I'll use that as a support, which is 2.5. My goal is to connect this point like this in an S shape. So, look at what I do here, all right. We're using this 3 inches as a guide. Once you get to the 3 inches, you're already covered, right? So the 3 inches is the guide. You see how it works? Okay, so now you start practicing how yours will curve. You start practicing your curve. So if you want to create a short sleeve, you stop it at these biceps. I'm going to bring another paper, and use our tracing wheel to get the short sleeve. But this is our long sleeve. Okay. All right. So let's cut this out. Okay. Do we see how this looks like? Let me open it up so you can see it. You see how this looks like. I am attaching this. you sew from your seam allowance, okay, and then you attach it to your basic. If you want to see how I attach this to the basic bodice, that will be an entirely different video. And when I'm sewing, you look for when I'm joining my basic bodice pattern, and then you see this. So let's create our short sleeve. So I have my paper here. And just quickly fold it. Okay. So folded this, and you place this on here with the same allowance. All right. And then you're just going to trace it out from your biceps, because this is a short sleeve. So you trace here, okay. And I don't need to trace there. So I'll trace from this point also, or you can create a new one entirely. I hope that worked. Yes, it worked. I'll place the long sleeve aside, and I'm just going to roll. So, and then I'll trace this out also. That's the beauty of your tracing wheel. So this is short sleeve. Alright. I'll just cut this out. And after joining the basic sleeve, I'm still going to be creating about 6 different basic sleeve designs that you should know apart from this. Okay, I'll create